Things you should never do by yourself. Swimming in the ocean at night, drinking sweet Kentucky moonshine, playing frisbee, and Jewish learning. Greetings, hero, it is I, your friendly neighborhood rabbi, and I am here today to talk to you about why you should not, if at all possible, study the Torah or do any kind of Jewish learning all by your lonesome. What you should do instead, and how to find a friend to study with. But before we get started, I strongly recommend that if you are not already subscribed to this channel, that you take care of that business. Just smash the little picture of my face down there. And if you are subscribed, make sure you ding-a-ling-a-ling that little bell, the picture of a bell, so that you will be automagically notified on your favorite video watching device every time I make a new video. Also, if you're just seeing one of my videos for the first time, you should know that this video is a part of a 30-day Jewish learning challenge. That's one video a day for 30 days, all about the subject of Jewish learning. And if you stay tuned to the end of this video, I will show you how to get connected to that whole series to make sure you don't miss a single one, because we are going to have a blasty with these. And better than having a blasty by yourself is having a blasty with friends. Let me get real with you for a second. I teach Torah on the internet, and I do that because the internet is where people search for stuff. I want to make sure when they search for Torah, they find some good stuff, or at least some funny stuff. It's occasionally good. People are out there on their own looking for a piece of information. And you can learn an awful lot by yourself, especially online. There are websites you can go. There's a thing called Wikipedia you may have heard of. Self-study classes that you can take. You can learn a lot about Judaism or anything else by your lonesome. But now that you're learning about Jewish stuff, I want to make sure that you're aware that by and large, learning about Jewish stuff is now and has always been a social activity, meaning it takes more than one person to do it. Yes, one person can sit down and open one book and read the entirety of the Torah or read the whole Tanakh, the whole Hebrew Bible. However, since we got that scripture, we've also had an oral tradition that goes along with it. And an oral tradition, that means somebody's talking about stuff and somebody else is listening about stuff, takes more than one person to do. It's always been about learning passed from one person to another person. And one person passed to a group of people. And once a group of people get that information, they can discuss it with each other. And then that discussion becomes its own oral tradition passed on to another person or group of people. Even once we start writing these oral traditions down in the Mishnah and the Talmud, you see zugot, or pairs of people who have debates within the rabbinic literature. So from the time of our ancient sages, starting over 2,000 years ago, Jewish learning has always been about dialogue. And to this day, in the most traditional houses of Jewish study and elsewhere, I've taught that the three most important things that a Jew-curious person such as yourself can have in order to upgrade their learning experience actually comes from the Mishnah and Pirkei Avot, which says to proceed with study, you need to find yourself a teacher, get yourself a friend, and when you judge people, judge them favorably. That is, weigh their ideas with an open mind. And to this day, the predominant mode of traditional Jewish study is in a context where you have both a teacher and a havruta. Havruta is an Aramaic word for study buddy, and how you learn a passage of scripture or rabbinic literature commentary is you take that passage, you read it alongside a friend, you discuss it, you give your interpretation, you listen to their interpretation, maybe you haggle about it a little bit, but your consciousness, your perspective is broadened when you hear that other person's perspective. And once you two have done your best to tease out the meaning of the text, then you go to your teacher, and maybe the teacher gives a lecture or listens to your interpretation and gives it tweaks here and there when that teacher can be helpful and give you a better perspective. But the important thing is, while anybody could take a piece of text and read it by themselves, if they only read it by themselves, they only get one perspective. They can only see it in one dimension. The essential ingredient is having somebody to study with you. And this is why most serious Jewish study today is done in the presence of a friend, a peer, someone who's right about at your level of understanding, so you can draw meaning out of the text in multidimension. So given that studying with a friend is the right way to study, how do you find this havruta? If you're taking a class about Jewish stuff, see if you can identify one person in that class who can go out to coffee with you and maybe discuss the class with you afterwards, or make a plan to discuss the material material beforehand, before you go into the class. Find that study buddy for that material. If you don't have access to a class like this, or you don't live close to a traditional Beit Midrash, maybe your only connection to Jewish learning is online, then I've got good news for you, because if you have access to the internet, you have access to the world's greatest tool for finding other people who are interested in what you're interested in. You can go on Twitter and tweet out who wants to learn some Torah with me, or who wants to learn some aspect of Jewish law or something like that. You can go on Facebook and just search for the topic that you're interested in, and you'll find discussions that are already ongoing. You'll find Facebook groups and pages and things like that where people who are interested in what you're interested in are already talking about it, and you can make friends with them and join that conversation, or invite them to study one-on-one with you. As an aside, I'll just say that when I created the Jew Curious School, it was absolutely essential that there be a community component to it. Don't get me wrong, I love teaching on YouTube, but it's just you listening to me, and I can't hear you holla back unless there's comments below. You should totally comment below. So to upgrade from that, I created a school where people could get together live in a Zoom call and talk to each other about the text. And I also created a community forum where people could meet each other and talk to each other as human beings, as peers in Jewish study, so that those connections can be made, those matches can be made, that people can study together, because studying Torah and all Jewish learning is best done in community, in conversation with a friend. So if you're taking a class, find somebody in that class who's willing to sit with you outside of class and discuss what you're learning. If you're learning online, there's lots of resources for you, like social media platforms or schools like the Jew Curious School, where you can meet other Jew Curious people just like you, get a study buddy, and get the most out of what you are learning. Hero, thank you for learning about the Jewish Learning Buddy System with me today. Remember, the buddy system is not just for summer camp, field trips, and moonshine. Showing my country there a little bit. Yeehaw. It's also the way to get the most out of your Jewish learning experience. If you'd like to take action right now to upgrade that Jewish learning experience, go ahead and click on this box to join the 30-day Jewish Learning Challenge. You'll get an email in your box every single day for 30 days with a fresh video on this important topic. Thanks again for learning with me today, and until next time, hero, peace. Summer camp, field trips, and moonshine.